What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show. We discuss everything going on here with the United States in Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market, price of oil and inflation, which is going crazy right now, as well as the stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and daily news. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button right now so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's completely free to subscribe, so if you haven't yet, make sure to do it right now. And as always, thanks for hitting the like button for us down below. We got a lot to talk about here in this video. We're going to talk about the latest with Russia incidents. We're going to talk about lawmakers' responses to this. So let's jump right in. Well, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia is a full force invasion now, and they are very close to the capital of Kyiv. In fact, there's airstrikes on Kyiv, and they've had 100,000 people leave Kyiv, and they're also not letting any men between ages of 18 and 60 leave Ukraine. Because of martial law they have imposed there. Here is some footage.
Air raid sirens rang out over the capital city of Kyiv and the city of Lviv in the west of Ukraine in the last hour. And in the capital, residents heard loud explosions through the course of the night. This video, posted by an advisor to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry, allegedly shows a Russian plane being hit by Ukrainian Air Force. You can see it exploding and burning up in the night sky over the capital city. Ukrainian officials who released this video say the debris fell in a residential area. Earlier this evening, the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, said that the Russian, quote, sabotage groups had entered Kyiv. He also reported that 137 Ukrainians, including military and civilians, had been killed so far in the Russian invasion. U.S. officials told members of Congress that Russian forces are closing in. At last check, they were 20 miles away from the capital. Many Ukrainians have spent the night and much of the day yesterday sheltering underground, crowding into places like subways for safety.
Bank that holds more than 1/3 of Russia's banking assets by itself.
Meanwhile, President Biden has announced new sanctions on Russia, as well as multiple different countries around the world, including the EU and multiple different NATO nations around the world. Here's what President Biden had to say.
We've now sanctioned Russian banks that together hold around $1 trillion in assets. We've cut off Russia's largest bank, a bank that holds more than 1/3 of Russia's banking assets by itself, cut it off from the U.S. financial system. And today, we're also blocking 4 more major banks. That means every asset they have in America will be frozen. This includes VTB, the second largest bank in Russia, which has $250 billion in assets. As promised, we're also adding the names to the list of Russian elites and their family members that we're sanctioning as well. Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences. Today, I'm authorizing additional strong sanctions and new limitations on what can be exported to Russia. This is going to impose severe cost on the Russian economy, both immediately and over time. We have purposely designed these sanctions to maximize the long-term impact on Russia and to minimize the impact on the United States and our allies. We saw a staged political theater in Moscow, outlandish and baseless claims that Ukraine was about to invade and launch a war against Russia, that Ukraine was prepared to use chemical weapons, that Ukraine committed a genocide. Without any evidence, we saw a flagrant violation of international law in attempting to unilaterally create 2 new so-called republics on sovereign Ukrainian territory.
Mitch McConnell, leader of the Republicans in the Senate, actually called for more sanctions, saying ratchet the sanctions all the way up. He said, quote, ratchet the sanctions all the way up, don't hold any back. Every single available tough sanction should be employed and should be employed now. And former President Donald Trump is also making some headlines, some controversial headlines to say the least, for this Trump video. There is no video. It was on a radio show. So this is kind of the best way to show it to you, the audio portion of it. So here it is.
Donald Trump has never been shy about his admiration for Vladimir Putin, and that was on full display in a radio interview today where Trump lavished praise on Putin for his strategy in Ukraine.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of the Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. By the way, this never would have happened with us. Had I been in office, not even thinkable. This would never have happened. And you know what the response was from Biden? There was no response. They didn't have one for that. No, it's very sad. Very sad.
That is the former president of the United States praising the Russian president for seizing Ukrainian territory and calling that genius, while also bashing President Biden for not being tough enough on Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, so as I said, he's making a lot of headlines with that radio interview, even from non-biased publications like Business Insider here. Trump praised Putin's justification, it says, to invade Ukraine as, quote, genius and savvy. So, yeah, again, Business Insider doesn't lean left or lean right, typically. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments on what you kind of think of that. Also, in what regards to what Mitch McConnell said is ratcheting up the sanctions, I do kind of agree with that. I also kind of think that I also kind of got to lead in here with this kind of warning here. You could see here that there's been a lot of headlines here that Russia may retaliate against the U.S. and other countries with cyber attacks and who knows what else here. And it does kind of make us think, is this the start of some bigger conflict with Russia? It does kind of make us wonder here, how far is this going to go? Without even being a conspiracy theorist, it just kind of makes you wonder here, how far is this going to go? How far is this going to go? Now, in all fairness, Russia is considerably outmanned when you think about NATO territories. You can kind of see this image here of Russia and Ukraine here, and Belarus here, which is, you know, like a Russia ally here. And all these blue countries here in blue are NATO countries. There's a lot of them. Okay, there's a lot of them. Yeah, as well as Australia and Japan, and also are doing sanctions on Russia as well. Of course, we have the United States, with Canada, and Mexico over there, allies as well. But the real question is, do we even want this to happen? How far is this going to go? Do we want to see the next, you know, World War III type of thing, right? I mean, think about World War II and like the effect that had on the world, right? I'm not saying this is going to happen, but to what end is this going to go, right? You know, that's the thing is Putin's not stopping at this point. He's just going to, at this point, take over Ukraine. All of these countries are doing sanctions on him, and he's just going to do whatever he wants. To what end? To what end, right? That's the real question here. To what end does this go to? Here's what Senator Bernie Sanders has to say.
Good evening. Right now, as we speak, invading Russian military forces are moving across Ukraine. We are witnessing the most massive military operation in Europe since World War II. There must be no ambiguity in acknowledging that what the whole world is seeing today is nothing less than a blatant violation of international law and of basic human decency. This war will likely kill thousands of people and create millions of refugees. At a time when the global community is already struggling with the COVID pandemic and climate change, this war could plunge Europe into long-term economic and political instability. Make no mistake about it, the effects of this war will be felt here in the United States and countries throughout the world. Russian President Vladimir Putin has justified this war in various ways, including by claiming in a recent speech that Ukraine is not a real country, but simply a part of Russia. Regardless of what revisionist historical argument or flimsy legal pretext Putin may offer, this war is clearly an act of premeditated aggression against Ukraine and its people. This aggression is unacceptable, and the nations of the world must respond vigorously to defend democracy and the rule of law. In my view, it is clear that the United States and our NATO allies made real efforts over the past weeks and months in trying to address Putin's stated security concerns. Tragically, those offers were not reciprocated. As a result, now is the time to maintain unity with our allies and impose severe sanctions on Vladimir Putin and his government. Severe sanctions. These moves should not only isolate the Russian economy, but should include freezing access to the billions of dollars that Putin and his oligarch cronies have stashed in European and American banks. At a time when he is inflicting enormous suffering and destruction on the world, Putin, one of the wealthiest people on earth, should not be allowed to enjoy the billions he has stolen from the people of Russia. I would also note that today, even as the Ukrainian people are bravely resisting this aggression, anti-war protests have taken place in 40 different Russian cities, and at least 1,000 Russian citizens have been arrested for opposing the war. Today, I stand in solidarity with these incredibly brave people. In an authoritarian country like Russia, protest is an act of enormous courage. That is why Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who has done so much to expose the corruption within the Putin government, sits in prison on trumped-up charges, having survived an assassination attempt. Putin may rule Russia today, but he cannot hide the truth forever. His day will come, hopefully sooner than later. Today, I hope all of us will stand with the Ukrainian people against this war, and with the Russian people who are demonstrating against their corrupt, reckless president who started it. The images of war that we are seeing are painful, and I fear that worse may yet be coming. In the midst of all this horror, one area where American leadership can be very helpful is in providing aid for those refugees fleeing war. The United States must work closely with our international partners in providing humanitarian relief for the Ukrainian people, and we should also commit to accepting more refugees here in our own country. Many of you are no doubt wondering what you can help do to end this terrible conflict. In my view, the most important thing that we can all do right now is stand in solidarity with the Ukrainian people against this war and with the Russian people who are risking so much to demonstrate against their corrupt, reckless president who started it. Putin and his oligarch friends seek a divided world and the destruction of democracy. Our worldview is different. We want to see robust democracies in every country on earth, including Russia. We want a world in which people come together to address the enormous problems facing us all. At the end of the day, it will be that common humanity based on the principles of justice that brings us together and enables us to prevail. Thank you very much.
So yeah, let me know your thoughts about what Senator Bernie Sanders has to say here. Yeah, of course, this is also hitting our country. So yesterday, the price of oil went from $100 a barrel up to $105 a barrel. Then when President Biden and the rest of the world announced their sanctions, that actually went down back to like $100 to $99 a barrel. So a lot of different things. Of course, the stock market also went crazy yesterday. It had a 1,000-point swing. It was down 800 points, and actually the Dow Jones, and actually went back up. Futures are down this morning before open. It's crazy here. Expect another down day here today, but again, it's crazy. Just not really a lot of good news right now because, well, we're on the brink of war. Remember, there's actually a lot of Ukrainians and Russians here in the United States as well. My thoughts and prayers go out to anybody, with background, heritage from there, or actually from there. A lot of us actually have a background from there. My family actually, it's a whole bunch of different countries from Europe, a couple generations back. And just dealing with this whole situation and of course affecting us here in America is just really, really, it's just really sad. And how it's going to affect everybody, if it really feels like it's going to affect the whole world here. The price of gas, the price of inflation, probably going to go up here. And the question is, what's going to happen here going forward? What's going to happen here going forward is really the big question. Really the big question. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts here. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and everything you need to know about. They say that the country and the capital could fall here later today or tomorrow even. And then what? Now, remember that Putin was saying that he didn't want to occupy the country. He just wanted to disband their military. I don't believe that at all. Time will tell. Just like he said a few days ago that he was retreating, right? He was sending troops back from the border. Of course, that was a complete lie as well. We'll see. Yeah. Now remember that, we're not going to go and attack Russia in Ukraine. Ukraine is not part of NATO. But the question is that, again, the real big elephant in the room is what is going to happen next. So I'll keep you up to date here with everything, as well as the stimulus and what's going on here at home. It's kind of like, the big question right now is what's going to happen next. So make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's completely free to subscribe and join our family of subscribers here. We're almost at 400,000, so help us reach that goal. If you haven't yet, you can click here to watch my newest video next. You can also click here to see my newest video on all different stimulus type programs that have just been announced. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.